welcome to another episode of Gray Hair Garage.
And look what we have here.
How you doing, brother? Social distancing, man. Yeah, so we're just, I don't know, what do you say this we're doing? We're just screwing around and thought we'd bring you something that we thought might be of some interest.
Yeah. So what are we going to do today, Mike?
We're just going to talk about the differences between the 69 and 70 Mustang, plus the different levels of, I guess you could call it Restomod.
Okay.
So,
Right, because this one, say, took 1,000 hours to do versus 5,000 hours.
yeah.
And people might not know what's all involved with the different degrees of Restomod.
Yeah, this is basically a stock car, but it is Restomod to a level. This car is a Restomod to a whole nother level.
Right.
So we're just going to kind of talk about the difference between the two, but mainly talk about the differences in the car in general, and then we'll kind of hit some of the highlights.
That sounds good, Mike.
So,
All right.
so let's talk about just the differences in front ends between the two cars. So you look at a 69, it's got 4 headlights, quad headlights, however you want to look at it. And you look at the 70, you got 2 headlights, and then you also have the addition of the sports package on the grill area, the sports grill, whatever you want to call it. And all those are marker lights / turn signals in my case. But if you look at them, really the main difference is on the 69 you have a different quarter extension, the fender extension, front fender extension here. This is different versus the 70. The bumper's the same between the two, and the valence, there's another difference there. Although the 70's totally different.
Yeah,
it's totally different.
Right.
But if you were to take and look visually at the 69, this valence and the 70 valence are roughly the same, except for on the 69 they had this marker light, and on the 70 they had that marker light in the fender. So the fenders are roughly the same, but those are the two differences. You could use one on either and you could fill in the hole or cut the hole, take your pick, but those are the two major differences. The hoods are the same, windshield wipers, cowl, all that stuff's the same. So those are the major differences in the front. Then you kind of roll on over to the side of the car. When you look at the 70, or the 69, excuse me, there's a vent in the quarter. Although it's fake, it's faux, whatever you want to call it. That's standard on the 69. Whereas you roll over to the 70, there is no vent. There's no pocket here or anything.
Right. I kind of like that myself.
Yeah, I like
the cleaner look.
This kind of makes the car clean, a little more sleek. So on the 70 models, they don't have the badge here, but on the 69 they do. Now, the studs that are on the quarter panel are the same studs that you use for all the trim. There's little clips that snap into this little stud, and so you could grind them off on a 69 and do your metal work and nobody ever know. But those are the differences there on the side. As far as the side mirrors, some cars had drivers and passengers. I think at those years 69 and 70, those are options. A lot of them just came with the one mirror, some came with 2. And then you kind of come on into the back. So you look at the quarter panel back here in the back. You got your side marker light here. This one's a little bigger than the 69, even though the 69 has it. You can see it, but it's a little smaller. Kind of like the front valence, they're a little smaller. On the 70, I guess, I don't know, maybe the DOT, whoever came around, decided they needed to be bigger. I don't know. So, but then you get to the rear, and this is kind of where it's the same, but it isn't. The biggest difference is this taillight panel. This one's kind of flat. It's got recessed taillights. But as far as the rear valence down here, there's different versions. There's ones with cutouts, ones without, but they all fit between the two. But this taillight is totally unique to a 70. It's flat, recessed, and then you come over to the 69. It's got a little bit of a concave curvature with the taillights extending from the taillight panel. But as far as like on this car, the tailpipes, they have cutouts. You can buy them either way. It just depends on which model you bought. Either had them or didn't. But yeah, that's kind of the major differences. But when you get to the taillight panel, your gas caps are not interchangeable. You can't do the two. You look on this 1970, this is actually from a 71 to 73 model. It bolts up, works perfect, and I kind of liked it because it was kind of similar to the Lamar. It has a little pop out, snap back. I didn't like the big bulky ones like you see on like the Shelby Cobras and stuff like that. I just wanted something clean and simple, so that's why I went with that. As far as anything else on the cars, they were pretty much the same. You know, you could still use stuff you could fill in or take out. Side marker lights. I noticed that a lot of Restomods, they get rid of the marker lights altogether. They like the clean look. I leave them in there for the safety aspect. You know, you're going to drive the car, you need to enjoy the car, you need to have the safety too. You know, so. All right, so let's cover kind of the Restomod version of the 69. So this, one of the main things I could say is different is these are actually off of a 70. These, I guess you call them hood pins. The 69 had the studs that stick out with the cables that roll out and got the little clips that lock in. My brother didn't like that, so that's why he went to the 70 style. And it does make the car look a little classier, not quite as, I don't know, I never liked the hood pin type thing.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of that. For one thing, you drive and it beats up the paint around that area.
Yeah, correct. You've got the cable, it flops around, you're riding down the road, it's, you know, it's, yeah, clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not original, but it is kind of, I guess you could say, a Restomod.
Sure.
It is a modification, it is not stock. So, you pop the hood, and one of the things that didn't come in a 69 was a 428. This car came originally with a 390, and it was a 4-speed. So this car is a 428 with a tri-power setup, and it has a 5-speed. So that's, I guess, your simplest version of a Restomod, because it's kind of factory stuff. The 5-speed's not so much factory, it's aftermarket, but it kind of mimics, you know, as far as the actual modifications to do this type of Restomod is not that much. There's not much difference between 390 and 428 as far as fit and everything. The stick shift's a little different, but that's pretty easy.
And it fits in the factory setting too. It
Exactly.
doesn't really change anything there,
No.
correct?
And it was a guy that we talked to a few times on the comment section that was talking about how his 5-speed didn't fit. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get it up on the lift yet. I'm waiting on the lift to get repaired, but when we do that, we'll cover that. We'll kind of do a little short video, kind of show what it is that you're looking at, how much clearances and stuff when you go to a Tremec 5-speed. But we'll cover that. But yeah, this is your simplest version of a Restomod. It's not stock engine, but it's a stock style engine.
Right.
We've just updated the carburation and ignition systems, radiator, AC compressor, stuff like that. That's your kind of simplest version of a Restomod.
Now, did this car originally come with AC?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a factory AC system in here.
Factory AC car, but
Cool.
they had, instead of going from a rotary style compressor, they had a piston.
Piston,
type.
the old.
Yeah, it's a mule. It's,
Oh yeah,
you know,
I've
so-
seen plenty of those.
Yeah, they're old school. They're noisy.
Yeah.
They have vibrations, that kind of
Sure.
stuff. So it's, if you can upgrade to a rotary style,
Sure.
it's the best thing to ever do.
Cool.
So this is kind of one of the small, simplest version of a Restomod.
Right.
And then you come over to this car. Totally different. So this car has been retrofitted with everything out of a 2014 Mustang. Everything out of a 2014. So you're talking radiator, you're talking engine, you're talking charging system, you're talking traction control, suspension, everything is out of a 2014. This is a bigger version, or a much more larger scale of a Restomod than that car.
Right. You got even ABS on this, correct?
Yeah, this ABS traction control.
Everything that you found on the 2014 is in this car.
In this car. So while this is cool and this is easier, the 69 is cooler, it's easier, it's more simplistic.
More traditional of a Restomod.
Right, more like what you would see most people do. That's easier. You do this, it's a whole different level
Right.
of what I consider a Restomod. Not too many people do this way. You see a lot of YouTubers going out and they're rebodying cars. Some of them are trying to fit this stuff, but they're doing full chassis and whatever. That's
a whole different bag.
That's a whole different bag in itself. And this car uses factory parts for the most part. This car uses factory parts for the most part. It's just how they were integrated between the two cars.
And the amount of time that it took to get to the 70
Exactly.
versus the 69.
So, essentially anything from the firewall forward here, I just ordered 2014 Mustang. Whereas you go to the 69, you order everything original to a 69 for that engine style. And this is a cool car. I mean, I love seeing cars like this. I'm not a big stock guy because stock's cool. But when you start doing date coded everything and this, that, and the other, you're talking about a whole nother level I don't even care about.
Right.
It seems like a waste of time and money to try to get a car to an original type of restoration. Because every time you touch it, if something goes wrong, you got to go back through the same problem again. You got to find the date code just right, this right. Whereas you can't just go to the parts store and just get a stock hose or a stock clamp or whatever it is.
Well, and that's the nice thing about the 69, because it's not totally original. It is a Restomod.
Yeah.
When something does fail, it'll never get to that point where you're date coding, because you'd be basically taking this whole vehicle apart again to do that. And you can actually drive it and enjoy it. Because to me, a car needs to be driven and enjoyed. Otherwise, it's just a trophy piece.
That's right.
And what's the point in that?
Yeah, if you're going to own it, you need to enjoy it.
Exactly.
And
that's what makes the 70 even nicer, because now you've got the drive of a modern Mustang,
correct,
but the looks of a classic Mustang.
Correct. And that was kind of my whole goal. I took some of the shortcomings of the 69, and because I love the 70 body style, I upgraded all the suspension to bring it to a newer car level so I can enjoy it.
Right.
I want to enjoy it. I've been driving it. I've gotten 2,500 miles on the car since I finished it. That car hasn't seen 2,500 miles since 2001.
Because as nice as the 69 is, it still drives like a 1969 Mustang.
It drives good. It's got
but
a few issues.
It floats. It's not as responsive in the braking and in the handling. It handles like a 50-year-old car.
Exactly.
Whereas yours handles like a 2014.
Yeah, this is a newer style of Restomod.
Yeah.
So those are the main differences there when you start talking engine combinations and transmissions. And then I guess you could even extend it further into the interior, whereas the 69, the only modern additions to it is electric windows. It's really the only modern one.
Okay.
But then you get over here to the 70.
Right.
We got electric windows. We've got satellite radio. We've got heated seats, climate control, backup camera.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Mood lighting.
Mood lighting, the whole 9 yards. So that's a Restomod, but a very simple version.
Right.
Just addition of electric windows, whereas this one's got a whole host of things.
Right. And that relays into build time too.
Exactly. That all just transfers right over to how many man hours we spent to make it happen.
Both are awesome cars.
Yeah.
They just serve a different type of
I want to enjoy this car. I want to drive it. I don't want to have to worry about, if I want to go in this corner a little harder. The 70, you don't have any problems with it. 69, yeah, you need to think about what you're doing because it's not going to handle it.
It could bite you.
Yeah,
a
so
lot
one
harder.
of the other things that's kind of different, we talked earlier about the side mirrors. You know, some of the basic versions only had one, and then some of them came with a second one. But on the 70, these side mirrors are off a 2015 and up Mustang. So they have the puddle lights that shine down. They're electric. They fit in the car. They fold. They do everything like a modern car. That's where time took to do a Restomod,
Sure.
a modification, whereas that was just a traditional bolt-up.
Yep, just bolted on.
Yeah. So we talk about one of the other things that I've added. It's got the satellite radio. This is your little, whatever you want to call it, the receiver. And so I added it to the deck lid, and the reason kind of I did was, one is if I ever decided to take it off, it's just a matter of plugging the hole and repainting the deck lid. I wanted to put it here but didn't have room, so that's one of the additions of another level of Restomod that this car doesn't have. You can add it, but that's a factory style piece. I mean, you know.
Right.
So we'll talk about braking. It's just a simple thing that most people don't think about too much.
But a very important thing.
It's a very important thing. So on this car, it has drum brakes in the rear, disc brake in the front, single piston, 11-inch rotors, no ABS, no nothing. So it's, you know, it's 50-year-old braking. It's adequate and it does its job, but yeah, there's a whole lot of weight. You got a whole lot of go. You got a whole lot of woe to go on.
I would think you got a lot of go with a 428.
Yeah, so you got to think about braking too. You can't just throw 500, 600 horsepower at it and think, hey, the brakes are good.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause you'll be dead. So let's talk about the reason why I did the 70. The braking is adequate, like I said on the 69, but then you come over here to the 70, kind of one of the main. This is factory 2014 stuff. It's Brembo, ABS, traction control, and all that, but it's got a 14-inch rotor, 4-piston caliper. Come back to the back. I think that's a 12-inch rotor. It's a single piston caliper, but it's disc brakes, and like I said, it's got traction control and ABS and all that. So this car handles it.
And it'll stop a lot better.
It stops way better. Just one of the major upgrades. Restomod, drivetrain, a little bit of interior stuff, things like that, but really no changes in the drivetrain as far as like braking and in the rear axle assembly. This one is a total redo. Even though it's based off some factory stuff from 2014, it's making this work with the 70 and look right. So those are kind of big differences between the Restomods, different levels of Restomods. And I think this is, in some cases, a lot of people won't ever be able to do this. I think that one's more realistic for a lot of people. But if you want something that does everything like a newer car, this is the way you do it, and you expect to spend a lot of time and money on it.
Yeah. There's a big difference between the cost on both.
Yeah, and you talk about, just say you're not able to do it and you want to hire it out. You're talking $100 an hour, 5,000 mile hours. You can do the math. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And so the more you learn, and the more you're able to do, and you could do things like this is the way to do it.
Right.
This is cool. I love this.
Oh yeah, and I do too. I mean, it's a gorgeous car, but if I had the choice, it'd be the 70, just because of the drive quality on it.
I think everybody's got different tastes. Yeah. And really, a lot of it comes down to
Absolutely. We know just from the views on our videos that the 69 is a popular car,
it's a very popular
and I love it too. I mean, I think it's a gorgeous car.
I love the color. I love the car. I think it looks great.
Yep.
Love everything about it, but at the end of the day, it's still a 69 with all its little issues from 50 years ago.
Yep.
I try to alleviate all those issues with this car.
Yep.
So
And I think you did a good job. I mean, I've driven in it, and it is a beautiful driver.
Yeah, it's a fun car. So there you go. I think that's
pretty much the differences.
Some major exterior differences, a little bit of interior stuff, drivetrain differences. I think you take your pick. Whether you call them both Restomods, there's different levels of Restomods. I don't know how you place it. Leave some comments on that.
Yeah, cool. Hey, that was interesting. I enjoyed that, brother. Good. That was, I don't know everything there is to know about Mustangs by any stretch of the imagination. I enjoyed learning what some of the subtle differences in the cars are. So, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that on the channel.
Yeah, there's some people that know way more than I do. I just, I can tell the difference between year models, but there's some people that really nail it down to numbers and all that stuff.
There's always people like that.
Yeah, I don't get into that. Kind of one of the things we didn't cover. If you got a 69 Mustang, one of the good upgrades to do is in the passenger and driver door. They're glue-in glass. You want to upgrade and get a better glass mechanism, go with a 70 style. They're bolt in. You don't have to worry about the glue failing over time. So that's one of the things.
Saw a way to improve that.
Yeah, there's one of those things I couldn't show you because cars put together. But
we're not taking them apart for that.
No. But I hope you enjoyed what we kind of showed you. It was just kind of a simplified version of what's going on.
Differences, and it's a beautiful day in Georgia, so we figure why not do a little recording.
Plus, we should show the cars.
Yeah, it's nice to get them outside.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed.
Yeah. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you do, please like,
subscribe,
and share.
Yeah, hit the notification bell.
Oh yeah, don't forget that.
Don't forget that.